always smiling, always dancing, always doing some type of moves. Yeah, he's just so down to earth. I would have never imagined that it'll be my nephew, it'll be my family. I always thought, well, that's sad to hear someone else's family member in the news, but when it's yours, it hits differently, and it hits very hard.
That's the aunt of Darnell Taylor, this missing child at the center of the Amber Alert.
Tragically, he was found dead in Columbus, and his supposed caretaker was arrested last night in Cleveland. And it is raising a lot of questions as to how the chain of custody unfolded the way it did. Were there things that the system could have caught? Stephanie Haney is here. She's been digging into this story all day. Stephanie, what are the different types of custody that courts can order, and what was ordered in this particular case?
Well, that's something that we're trying to get to the bottom of, and as we try to do that, we'll talk a little bit about what is available here. There are 3 different types when it comes to granting custody to non-parents, and the orders come from different courts depending on the circumstances of each case. There are simple custody orders. Those are issued from either domestic relations court, that's if the child's parents are married, separated, or divorced from each other, or juvenile court if the child is part of a children's services case or if the child's parents were never married to each other. Then there are guardianship orders and adoption decrees, which come out of probate court.
Are these permanent rulings, or can these orders be changed in certain circumstances depending on what happens?
It really depends on the type of order. Some can. They have varying levels of rights associated with them. Now, a custody order and a guardianship order are similar in terms of the rights that they come with. With a custody order, the biological parents still have the right to visit the child, and they can also ask the judge to give custody back. Now, with guardianship, if the parent is still alive but was temporarily unable to care for the child, again, the biological parent can ask the judge to give custody back to them. Adoption, however, that creates complete, permanent, lifelong legal parental rights for the adopting parent and then terminates the biological parent's parental rights, or in some cases, the biological parents will waive those parental rights. So there's no asking to get custody back once an adoption is finalized.
Are we able to find out what kind of custody order was in place in this particular case? And I'm curious to know, there were red flags here. The paternal grandparents are now saying that Pammy Maye had blocked their phone calls and they hadn't seen the child since last July. It seems to me that there should have been red flags here that were detected by someone in the system.
So in the reporting that we saw talking to those biological grandparents, they had also mentioned that they didn't really have an indication that this was going to happen until she got the custody. So here's the problem here. We can't find these things out from court documents. In Ohio, all juvenile court records are secret. So whether Pammy Maye had a simple custody order over Darnell, whether she was his legal guardian, or whether she had formally adopted him, we wouldn't be able to find those records. Not in a docket search. We couldn't get them produced with a records request. We'd only be able to see those records right now if Darnell's biological family, who it sounds like surrendered their rights to Pammy Maye, even if they couldn't get in touch with her after the fact, had copies of those records and are willing to share them with us. And the only caveat to that in general is that adoption files can be requested by the children of adopted people. Obviously, that does not apply here in this case of 5-year-old Darnell Taylor. And something else that was mentioned, the grandparents had been in the process of trying to get grandparents' rights back. That's also not informative in this case because in Ohio, even in the case of unofficial adoption, there is still an opportunity for grandparents to try to pursue grandparent rights. So it's really just not clear unless they're willing to share that information with us.
Wow, just so many unknowns in this case, but at the end of the day, it's such a tragedy. I mean, it's hard to imagine on so many levels. Steph, thanks.
Sure.